Hello, my future doctors and engineers. Welcome, welcome. Today, we're going to dive deep into a super important chapter from Class 12 Biology, Reproductive Health. Now, from a NEET point of view, this chapter is absolutely crucial. So let's get started, shall we?
So take a look at the number on your screen. 1.4 billion plus. That, my friends, is the estimated population of India right now. And that number alone sets the stage for why this chapter is so important. For a developing nation like ours, a population this huge? Well, it's a massive challenge.
But you know what they say, right? Every challenge is also an opportunity. And the path to turning this particular challenge into an opportunity, well, that goes straight through understanding reproductive health. So the real question becomes, how do we actually use this knowledge to build a healthier society?
All right, so to make this huge topic super easy to understand, we've broken it down into 5 simple sections. Think of it as our roadmap for today. We'll start with the basics and work our way all the way to modern medical solutions.
Okay, first up, Section 1. Before we can even talk about solutions, we've got to get to the root of the issue. So what exactly is this thing called reproductive health? Let's find out.
Now, this is really interesting. According to the WHO, reproductive health isn't just about having reproductive organs that work fine. No. It's a state of total well-being. We're talking physical, emotional, behavioral, and social. So a society is only truly healthy when people are healthy in all aspects related to reproduction, not just the physical part. It's the whole package.
And India has actually been a pioneer in trying to achieve this goal. Would you believe it if I told you we were the first country in the world to launch a national family planning program? Yep, way back in 1951. Today, that program is better known as the Reproductive and Child Health Care, or RCH program. Its core mission: to create awareness through media, sex ed in schools, and also through crucial legal steps like banning the misuse of amniocentesis for sex determination to prevent female feticide.
All right, moving on to Section 2. And guys, pay close attention here, because this is a really important high-yield part of the chapter. To really get a grip on what population explosion means, let's check out a simple graph on the next slide. Wow, this graph just lays it all out, doesn't it? When India got its independence, our population was about 350 million. By the year 2000, we hit 1 billion, and by the 2011 census, we'd crossed 1.2 billion. So, what caused this explosive impact? Well, it's mainly because of better health facilities, which led to a rapid decline in the death rate, maternal mortality, and infant mortality. So, how do we manage this population growth? The most effective way is through contraception. But what makes a contraceptive ideal? This is a classic question in NEET, so listen up. It needs to be user-friendly, easy to get, effective, reversible, have few or no side effects, and, this is a big one, it shouldn't interfere with a person's sexual drive or the sexual act. Okay, this table is pure gold for your exams. Let's break it down. First, natural methods have a high failure rate. Barrier methods like condoms, they have a double benefit. They prevent pregnancy and STIs. Now, IUDs are the most widely accepted method in India. Remember the types? You've got non-medicated, copper-releasing ones like CUT, and hormone-releasing ones. Oral pills work by stopping ovulation and implantation. And finally, surgical methods. They're considered a terminal method because they have very poor reversibility. Let's zoom in on one of the natural methods, periodic abstinence. The whole idea is based on the menstrual cycle. See that window between day 10 and day 17? That's when ovulation is most likely to happen, so it's called the fertile period. The method involves avoiding intercourse during this high-risk time. But, and this is a big but, you have to remember its failure rate is pretty high. So how do oral contraceptive pills work? The schedule is actually pretty straightforward. You start taking them within the first 5 days of your menstrual cycle. Then, it's 1 pill every day for 21 days straight. After that, you take a 7-day break, which is when menstruation happens. Then, you just repeat the cycle. It's simple and really effective, but the key is regularity. And hey, don't forget Saheli. That's a special one developed right here in India. It's non-steroidal, and you only have to take it once a week.
All right, mistake alert. This is a super common point of confusion for students, so please pay attention. Vasectomy is for males, where a small part of the vas deferens is removed or tied up. Tubectomy is for females, where a part of the fallopian tube is blocked. But here's the crucial point that everyone misses. The reversibility is very poor. These are not temporary options, they are terminal methods. You've got to remember that. Okay, our next topic is MTP, or Medical Termination of Pregnancy. Now, this can be a sensitive subject, but it's an extremely important one, especially because you'll get questions on both its medical and its legal aspects.
So, what exactly is MTP? It's the intentional or voluntary termination of a pregnancy before the full term. In other words, an induced abortion. This was legalized in India way back in 1971. But with some very strict conditions in place to prevent it from being misused, particularly for female feticide. Now, this slide is a classic multiple choice question just waiting to happen. According to the MTP Amendment Act of 2017, here's what you need to know. Up to 12 weeks of pregnancy, that's the first trimester, and MTP is permitted on the opinion of one registered medical practitioner. This is considered relatively safe. But between 12 and 24 weeks, you need the opinion of two registered medical practitioners, and the procedure becomes much, much riskier. Let's move on to our fourth section. STIs, or sexually transmitted infections. Now, the incidence of these infections is highest in the 15 to 24-year-old age group, which is probably your age group. That's why understanding this is so important, and prevention is absolutely everything. Here's another point that often trips students up, so let's make it crystal clear. Which STIs are curable and which aren't? Well, if they're detected early, diseases like syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia are completely curable. But you must remember these three: genital herpes, hepatitis B, and HIV infection. These are not completely curable. This is a must-know for your exam. And now we arrive at our final section for today: infertility and modern solutions. And this part is less about the problems and more about the incredible solutions, how science is stepping in to help couples who are unable to conceive children. In our society, especially in India, the blame for infertility is often placed solely on the female. But what does the science actually tell us? Well, as this chart clearly shows, the issue can lie with the male partner, the female partner, both of them, or sometimes it's just unexplained. It is a total social myth that the problem is always with the woman, and it's a myth we need to break. Finally, let's have a quick look at the Assisted Reproductive Technologies, or ART. This table is super important, so focus up. The key to remembering them is actually hidden in their names. ZIFT stands for Zygote Intrafallopian Transfer, so you're transferring a zygote into the fallopian tube. IUT is intrauterine transfer, moving a more developed embryo into the uterus. GIFT is gamete intrafallopian transfer. Here you're transferring a gamete, like an ovum. And in ICSI, a single sperm is injected directly into the ovum in the lab. Make sure you remember these full forms. All right, let's do a quick rapid-fire revision of the absolute must-know points. India's family planning program started in 1951. Saheli is what kind of pill? A once-a-week non-steroidal pill. MTP is relatively safe up to 12 weeks. The incurable STIs are HIV, hepatitis B, and genital herpes. And the difference between ZIFT and GIFT? Zygote versus gamete transfer. Do not forget these points. So after going through this whole chapter, what's the biggest takeaway? What's the main lesson here? You see, it's not just about biology, it's about knowledge and the immense responsibility that comes with it. Having the right information empowers every single one of us to make responsible choices, not just for ourselves, but for our entire society. And on that note, we'll wrap up today's session. If you found this explainer helpful, please hit that like button, share it with your friends who might need it, and don't forget to subscribe for more helpful content just like this. All the very best for your exams.